everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kim and today I'm giving you a long overdue review of the book The Perfect Child. I do not have the physical copy of it. I read it as an e-copy on my Kindle Unlimited, but I'll have the picture up to the side of me so that you can see what it looks like. I will go on and tell you and warn you, if this is a trigger, if you've ever thought about adoption, this is not a book for you. This is a psychological thriller and it's based around adoption and pretty much everything that could go wrong or bad happened in this book. So that is why after May, I had thought about adoption, for the last few years, and I've read several books from people who've been adopted and books like What I Wish My Adopted Parents Knew. And it talked a lot about the anger these children had towards their adoptive parents, especially the mother, because they had so much anger towards their birth mother who gave them up. So that is a hard kind of lesson or thought to even think about. And it is very, very prevalent, this idea of the child being so angry and taking it out on the mother figure is all over this book. So if that is a trigger for you or concern for you, this may not be a book for you to read because it is a psychological thriller and it will play on your mind, on your emotions, all of that. At least from my personal experience, I'm not telling you guys what you should or should not read, but I did want to let you guys know my thoughts or opinions concerning that, so you don't go into it quite as blind as I did when I read this book. So this particular book, it's been a couple of months since I've read it because I really needed that downtime to digest the book and not have it so fresh and horrific images still in my head that do happen in this book. But this follows the downward spiral of a well-off family due to them adopting a child. This is Dr. and Mrs. Bauer. You follow this couple who are very happy, very go-lucky. She is a nurse, he is a surgeon. In the hospital, they both work at the same hospital. They have pretty much everything that they want, but they're unable to have a child of their own. And they've kind of been in the adoption process and looking into that and different options, both domestic adoption as well as international adoption. And they look to be, a very happy-go-lucky couple from the outside looking in. That is until Janie was discovered on the side of the road. She was very malnourished. She looked like she had been abused and wandering around very filthy, very grungy and grubby. It was horrifically described as what she looked like. So she ends up in the ER. They don't know where her parents are because she's just wandering around on her own, covered in filth. Bones, I think, might have been misaligned, had been broken at one point, grew back wrong. Very malnourished, dehydrated, you name it. It was wrong with her. So the wife ends up dealing with her because she's an emergency room nurse in the ER. So she encounters Janie first, and later, after they get her stabilized, she's moved up to a floor, and Dr. Bauer then takes over her care. And it goes worse from there. Again, a conflict of interest when they decided they want to adopt her because there's no parents. She's put into basically foster care, and while the social worker gave this very traumatic first case to this couple, I will never know, but that kind of spawned everything. So you follow this couple and things start going wrong pretty much immediately once they take her into their home because of the abuse that she was given, the abusive home life that she was in. And starts off with her just standing over this couple during the night. And then she increasingly has more violent outbursts. And the mother, they take off, for paternity leave, sort of maternity, paternity leave, to adjust the child to their home. And things are very violent to begin with, but the social worker says it's normal, and to get her into counseling and all of that to help her deal with these issues of transitioning from such a horrible home life, what she's used to a more stable, calm, happy home. So there's going to be conflicts, there's going to be adjustment periods and all of that. So she seems or appears to eventually kind of calm down. The husband goes back to work, and then the acting out starts heavily with mom. And it goes into this kind of triangle effect, trying to turn the father against the mom, so it'd be 2 against 1. All these different scenarios. Then they decided, well, let's get her a pet. She needs something to kind of take care of and to love on. And what could go wrong with that? That scene I can't go into because that hits me near and dear. You guys know I have animals, and that whole scene I can't. I knew as soon as an animal came in and the behaviors that this child was giving, it was not going to end well with the cats, and it didn't. I will tell you that much. I'm already getting emotional even thinking about what this child did to this innocent, innocent kitty cat. Whew. And this is after a couple of months of being away from this book. Oh, Lordy. Yeah. All right. So that whole scene happens. And then, of course, how it a lot of times happens after they adopt this child, they end up pregnant, and Janie does not take it very kindly. High stress situations, mom has to go pretty much on bed rest. Because of the stress, she ends up starting to lock Janie in her room because she's acting out so violently and being so manipulative, and the father just doesn't see it. He, is so sympathetic towards everything that Janie had gone through up until this point, and thinks oh no, it's just all in your mind. You're just tired. She's not doing any of this type of things. Again, it's getting into that triangle, 2 against 1. The mom starts feeling alone and helpless and all of that. And so she just downward spirals. She eventually does end up having her own child. And then the jealousy comes, Janie, towards this other child. She wants to breastfeed as the baby is doing. She's like, no, this is for the baby. And she just keeps harassing her. I want that milk, that type of thing. So mom gives in, and she ends up biting her. She gets this horrific infection, and she just smiles and thinks it's hilarious that she's now deprived the baby of his source of food. And she gets hospitalized because of this horrific infection. So again, it's a very tough story. I'm not going to go into all of the details, but those are some of the kind of highlights of what went on in this book. It is very, very well written. I will give kudos to the author about everything that happens in the story. I believe the author herself is a psychologist, possibly a forensic psychologist. I can't remember the exact thing that she is, but she definitely delved into her background to create this story. I'm not going to go into everything and how the story ends, but those are some of the most memorable scenes, and there's a few others towards the end, but I'm not going to spoil that for you guys because the ending was amazing. Again, it was very well written if you can get past those triggers. It has very, very graphic scenes, but it's done in a tasteful manner that it's not just a hack and slash or a gore for thrill type writing. Because she is a psychologist, you can tell that in the writing and the way that she portrays each of the characters. They're all very well developed characters. It's both character and plot driven, because you really feel for these characters. You feel for Janie and everything that was done to her. And you also feel awful that how can a child basically be born with her mindset that she has. That's kind of, you know, the debate, nature versus nurture. Are we created with a certain mind frame that we're going to be evil or mean and vindictive? Or is it something that we learn as a learned behavior with how we are raised? So that is kind of that dilemma with Jamie, and then seeing this happy couple just deteriorate because of their love and wanting to have a child, and this decision, this one decision, downward spiraled them into what happened. So it is so well written. I still have all of these images, you know, months later. It was very well written, but you will need downtime from this book. Like, I had to have the downtime before I could do this review and talk about this book because of how it impacted me. Because I was someone who was thinking heavily into adoption and reading up on, you know, how, you know, adoptees kind of think about their birth mother, and how they kind of, if they're angry, take it out on the mother figure and all of that, and how it was portrayed in the most vicious and mean and horrific way possible in this story. So yes, I would recommend it. I think I gave it a 5-star rating because it is so well written, and the images and the scenes are so well developed that I couldn't give it anything but that. It is, for me, a hard book to read, just the things that I was talking about. But if that's not something that bothers you, that, you know, it's not something that you were really considering, then you will probably love it, because it does everything a psychological thriller should do, did happen in this book. So yeah, I would highly recommend it if those are not warnings or triggers for you. Again, I'm not saying not to read it. I mean, I did read it, but it did hit home with a lot of my emotions, and it did play with my head a lot. But I hope you have enjoyed this review and thoughts on this book. It is an amazing book, a horrifying book. It hits every emotion you probably could ever have reading in a psychological thriller, but it was definitely worth the read. And until my next video, I hope you guys have a good one. Bye!